Going off the beaten track to find solutions.
The Toyota 1000 Desert Race represents the halfway mark in the 2007 ABSA Off-Road Championship. The hosts, however, will want to make a statement. Toyota's last production vehicle category win in the blue ribbon event of the National Off-Road Championship came in 1999. Since then, victory has gone to Mitsubishi, Ford and Nissan, with the factory Nissan team this year looking for its 6th victory in a row.
The Toyota brand needs to continue to be involved with the desert race. It really is, as it is with all off-road racing, it's proof how tough a Hilux really is, and how it can compete. And going right back to the early days, the days of Kasi Kutsia, legends, RP Reinecker, we've been able to prove how tough Hilux is in a really serious condition. The race is now known as the Toyota Kalahari Botswana 1,000 kilometer desert race, and it's really a tough and grueling event. I'm told that the event this year is going to be 70% new territory, so the drivers and the vehicles are up to something completely different from what they've been accustomed to in past years, and we know how grueling it's been in the past, and we expect it to be very, very similar to that. But on the other hand, we also hope that most of the vehicles come back without damage. Obviously, particularly the Toyota vehicles.
But what about international participation? And what has the 2010 Soccer World Cup campaign done for the championship series?
As we move towards 2010, Southern Africa is getting more and more attention, and hopefully sometime in the future we'll be able to attract some international competitors to come and compete in this race. Of course, overseas, in Europe, they call this cross-country racing, probably a little bit more environmentally friendly. But for those who don't know, we don't actually destroy the environment. We race on roads, or the drivers race on roads. We spectate in the bush, and we keep an eye on what's going on. So it's not what people think it is, thundering through the bush and breaking things up. And Europe being so environmentally sensitive, and us now also developing the sport in an environmentally friendly way, we believe that we'll be able to get some competitors as Southern Africa becomes more of a tourist destination for sport as well as for general tourism.
There is a new route, but it will still be as exhausting and as tough as ever. That, after all, is what the Toyota Desert 1000 has built its reputation on.
Now we're moving to a new area, and it'll give the people on the other side of Gaborone, out in the bush on the other side of Gaborone, an opportunity to see the spectacle. To see the vehicles racing at the speed that they do cross country is actually quite amazing, especially for someone who hasn't been exposed to racing at all, particularly cross country racing. And we really expect our top two drivers to give the Nissans a run for their money this weekend. And well, watch next week, and hopefully people will be able to see the result. We are out to challenge the Nissans this weekend.
And after so many great years of racing, what has the race achieved for Toyota? We wanted to know from Brian.
I think it's been brilliant for Toyota. You know, Toyota really is a dominant player in the Botswana market. So for us to be able to have probably their biggest sporting event other than soccer, in fact, in some instances, people say it's bigger than soccer. For us to be involved in an event like that, where we've got really good Hilux customers and Land Cruiser customers, it's really, really good for us. It gives us brilliant exposure, and it helps us keep the sales rolling in, and that's what we're really in the business for.
And we say, long may it continue. In 1999, RP Reinecker and a young Robin Houghton steamed to victory in their Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser. Reinecker has gone on to other things, while Houghton is now the foil for the driving antics of Castrol Toyota pilot Bevan Berthold. That was the host's last production car win. The Botswana outing is the 4th round of the ABSA Off-Road Championship and represents the halfway mark in the series. So far this season, all 3 wins have gone to factory Nissan Navara entries, with reigning champions Hannes Grobler and Francois Jordan winning twice, with Duncan Foss and Ralph Pitchford taking the recent Sun City 400. But while Nissan have dominated the season in terms of win, there are indications that an exciting duel in the desert is on the cards. In the super production class, Grobler and Jordan and Foss and Pitchford face a tough test from another factory Nissan Navara in the hands of Norwegian Ivar Tollefsen and Britain Quinn Evans, as well as the Navara of local crew Mark Corbett and Rudy Balzar in the Century Properties development entry. And both Toyota and Ford will be confident that they can end the Nissan run of wins. Toyota will be represented by 2 Works Castrol Toyota Hilux V6 crews with support from 2 privateers teams in Hichu and Jaap de Bruin in the Mickelin Excel Toyota Hilux and Chris Visser with Jaapie Baarnost in the Tyco Trucks Toyota, while Ford will be represented by 2 Ford Racing Ranger factory entries and 2 privateer teams. The Toyota factory pair of Mark Renier and Chris Birkin lie 3rd in the overall championship, and after a good outing at Sun City will fancy their chances in the all-new Castrol Toyota Hilux. Bevan Bertold and Houghton, who will be looking for his 5th Toyota Desert Race win, will also be confident after their recent exploits have shown that Toyota V6s can compete on a level footing with the opposition. The Ford crews will feel the same. 3-time Toyota 1000 Desert Race winners Woolridge and Scholthammer were 2nd at Sun City and will have solid support from Brandon Harkes and Jean Moore in a 2nd factory entry, as well as reigning Class E champs Manfred Schroeder and Ward Huxtable in the Barlow World Absolute Ford Ranger. A new addition to the Ford stable will be Kobus van Tonda and Ruan Guapa, who moved from Class E into the SP class. The former Mitsubishi pair have taken over the Ford Ranger, in which Woolridge and Scholthammer won last year's SP class championship and will debut the Unifreight Ford Ranger in Botswana. With a Premier SP class now loaded with potential winners, the ingredients are there for a memorable race. Krobler and Jordan completely dominated last year's event, but it looks unlikely that they will be allowed to do so again this year. Nissan have also dominated Class D this season and will be looking to see the trend continue. Only 1 point separates 3 Nissan drivers, Yuri and Andre Duplessis in the first BB Auto Nissan hardbody, Arnold Duplessis and Johan Knox in the 2nd, and then Kutsiala Beskachny in his Raconics Nissan hardbody at the top of the championship, and that opens the way for a terrific scrap. Also part of that battle will be Henry and Maurice Matten in the Ryobi Nissan, who had a wretched Sun City 400 with gearbox maladies. They'll be looking to put an end to a troubled season, and they certainly have the pedigree to do just that. Harold and Tian Kun in the Landy have performed consistently this season. The pair picked up a solid 3rd place in the Pilansberg in what was their first full season of off-road racing. This will, however, be their first desert race, and it will be an eye-opener for another of the many father and son combinations in off-road racing. But the biggest threat to Nissan is likely to come from Cliff and Louis Weichelt in the Bosel Toyota Hilux. The Weichelts have run into early teething problems with the new vehicle, but are highly experienced, and a clean run in Botswana could see them upset the Nissan apple cart. Surprise Nissan Kluklui winners Ramon de Seidnot and Stefan Locke add to the Toyota challenge. A steep learning curve faces them on their first desert race. The ingredients are also there for a terrific fight in Class E. Here, 5 points separate 4 crews, with Jack Peckham and Lucio Santoro from Ford holding off Yanni Visser and Joks Leroux in the Team Barberspun Toyota Hilux. Brian Martin and Oki Fourie in their Castrol Toyota Hilux. And the ever-improving George and Sharon Barkhuizen in the Rocon Toyota Hilux. Visser and Leroux and the Barkhuizens have scored their wins this season, but consistency has kept Peckham and Santoro at the top of the points log. The Ford pair will be hard-pressed to keep at bay the Toyota hordes, who will be reinforced by the likes of Mark and Stuart Moffat in the Bosel Toyota Hilux, and some interesting tussles are certain to develop. In recent times, Class E crews have come up with top 5 finishes on the Toyota 1000 Desert Race. It could indeed happen again this year. With a high-quality SP class entry and all the prestige that goes with the race, this year's Toyota Kalahari Botswana 1000 Desert Race could turn into a classic. And if a little luck runs their way, the Toyota Cup could overflow. With 3 different winners in 3 races so far this season,